It's too quiet. Alice Cooper? On today's show, the guys talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of summer conferences, continued student and teacher engagement through the vacation season, and what you can do about it. We'll have music from our featured artist of the week and more, and that's all up next on EduTech Guys.
EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed under the site and its programs are those of the participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTech Guys Radio. I'm one of your hosts, David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Madlock.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going to be a great show.
It is going to be awesome.
School's almost out. We've prepared a special summer EdTech show for you.
That's right.
Mr. Spock, get it together. Set phasers to stun.
Something like that.
Set phasers to summer.
Summertime.
Hey, it's going to be a good show today. Hey, check us out on the web at www.edutechguys.com. You can also find us at twitter.com/edutechguys. Heck, just go to Google, type in EdutechGuys, and you're going to find us.
Yeah, man. We are everywhere. We're everywhere.
Everywhere. Oh my gosh, those EdTech guys are everywhere.
Yeah. Man, awesome stuff.
Yep. Getting ready to round down school, wind it up, put it in a box, tape it up, and ship it off for the summer. I'm so ready. I don't even want to see school. No, I'm going to be here, so there's no way out of that one.
Yeah,
But
we don't really get off. We don't get out of school for the summer.
maybe that's what's wrong with us. We're 12-monthers.
Well, there's a lot wrong with us.
I meant you have a point there. You actually have a point there. Yeah. We're going to be a great show. We're going to talk a little bit about how we feel about summer conferences and maybe engaging your students and teachers during the summer.
That's right. Hopefully going to give you guys a lot of food for thought.
And since we can't go home and have a good summer, we don't want you to have one either.
Wow. Okay. Didn't see that one coming.
Hey, we'll drop out to a quick commercial. We'll be right back after these announcements from the EduTech Guys.
Thanks for listening to EduTech Guys. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTech Guys. Head over to Facebook, facebook.com/EduTechGuys, or cruise on over to the website, www.edutechguys.com.
All right, there we go. Let's just hop into it, man. Let's get into. We've got a lot of things we're going to talk about. So we're going to start off with the good, the bad, and the ugly of summer conferences. So first of all, you can reach out to us on Twitter. Use hashtag ETGChat or reach out directly at EduTech Guys. Are you going to summer conferences? Anyone out there? If you're listening and you're going, let us know.
I'm going to summer conferences, David. No, we were talking about this the other day, and David and I have been to a lot of conferences.
A lot.
And we're going to a lot of conferences, and we work a lot of conferences, and we teach workshops at a lot of conferences. So we've kind of been, we've held conferences, we've been on every side of it, and there's the thing, and I would say of the probably hundreds of educational conferences that go on every year. The majority are held in the summertime, but they go on year round.
Right.
But, the summertime is that part where you're trying to get those PD hours. And so, that's the first thing. Why are you going?
Right.
Are you going for PD hours? Are you going for, true development and growth? Are you just going for this is a good vacation? Hey, listen, it's in San Diego and it's 3 days. I'm going to take that trip and go out there.
Right.
But, I think that's the first thing you have to ask yourself why you're going.
Yeah.
And if it's just to network, great. If you're going in with a plan, then go in with a plan, but make something of it, I think. I think that's a big deal. Like, you know what you do at conferences.
Well, right. But I wanted to get back to when we were talking about, the reason, why, and I'm not sure a lot of people stop and think about that. Like you said, are you there for just the PD hours because you're required to have so many hours a year, and so you're going to this conference just so you can say you were there and get the hours and call it good and walk away? Or like you said, how many folks go to, in air quotes, a conference in order to really have a vacation?
Right.
And I'm not saying that in itself is necessarily a bad thing. Well, yeah, I am. I don't think that's a good thing. That's not a good reason to go to a conference. But there's also no reason why you couldn't wrap a vacation into it. I mean, that is certainly part of the appeal of where these conferences are located.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's part of the reason why you have a conference like ISTE that moves around every year. Partly because they're able to get people from those particular regions a lot easier. Budgets are tight and all that stuff, so it's hard for some folks to be able to get away. Like if it was in San Diego and you're in San Antonio, well, that's a little tough,
right?
But so I think that's a part of it. I think also I think that's one of those things where it also helps folks. This year it is in San Antonio. So, if you've never been, then heck yeah, make part of going to the conference part of your vacation. So you're going to go to the conference, but then you're also going to do the touristy kind of things, check out the Alamo and the Tower of the Americas and all that kind of stuff that they have down there, the Riverwalk. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing unless that is really, you're hiding the fact that you're going to this conference. You're hiding the fact that really it's just a vacation.
Right. Well, the one piece of advice I could give you when you're deciding on why you're going is most likely you had to convince someone above you to let you go, to approve it or pay for it or all of the above. So take that one thing to heart. If you gave them something and you were serious about it, and stick to it. If you gave them something just to get there, when you get there or in your prep to get there, since most conferences now have a great app or at least a good guide online so you can prep yourself before it, pick that one thing.
Yeah.
Pick something that you're going for, that you're going to try. If it's just networking, great. Just network. Meet teachers and educators from all over the country, all over the world, and then use that, as your Swiss Army knife when you get back so that you have something to do with. Which brings us to, what are you bringing back?
Right, exactly. And then now coming around full circle to what you were trying to get me to talk about before.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do when I go to a conference, I actually post my my notes to my blog, and then I share that blog with my bosses. I mean, and one of the things that I like about it is when I'm in a session, I'm blogging during the session, and I say blogging, I really use that term loosely. I'm taking notes. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of my conference blog posts are very note taking looking. I mean, they're very to the point. Here's this, and we did this. But for me, one of the things that I try to do, and I don't do this all the time. A lot of it depends on what the content is or whatever. But I like to start those posts with what's the name of the session that I went to, why did I choose that session, and then my notes are what did I get out of that. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually write a summary. So you see the name of the session, why I chose that session or what I hope to get out of it. Then you see the notes. And at the end, here's kind of the wrap up. Here's what my takeaway was. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, and as soon as I'm done with that session, because I've been typing it all in, I hit post, it's gone. I go to the next session.
Yeah.
My boss can, if she subscribes to that particular feed, can get an instant notification and say, hey, David just posted on the blog. He posted on his blog, and here's the title. I went to this session, blah, blah, blah. And I like to do that for as many sessions as I go to, partly because I go to a lot of sessions when I go to a conference, so I forget. I mean, really, some of these conferences are laid out where you're going, every hour for 6-8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes you attend, little quick sessions, like a 20-minute kind of a poster session type thing here, or a 15-minute, almost like a TED Talk type thing. And that doesn't necessarily stick with you as you've been at a conference 6 to 8 hours a day for 4 days out of the week. That 15-minute segment kind of gets lost in there unless, you're taking notes or something. And I prefer to be able to post that out because it shows the people back home that approved the fact that I could go to this, that they're getting their money's worth. Remember, they're the ones putting up all this money for you to go to this. They want to see what the return is.
Yeah. And that's, I think the real interesting thing that's happening now with conferences is they're getting smarter about what they're offering. There needs to be strands. And that's the best way it needs to be played. FETSI does it. ISTE does it. They have strands. Because you don't need to be going to a conference every hour for 6 to 8 hours. I mean, a workshop every hour for 6 hours a day.
Right.
That's
Right.
a waste of your time, their money, your money, everybody's business. I mean, because you're not getting that in-depth specific thing.
Yeah.
That thing every teacher's looking for in a research paper. Get specific for me. Great. Well, let's do that in education. So your best bet is to go ahead and, pre-trip your trip, pre-plan your trip, pick what you're going to do, and then start looking for the hashtags, looking for the user groups, looking for the meeting groups so that you can spend the rest of that time. You might go to 2 1-hour sessions in a day, but if you spend the rest of that day going to the vendors areas, dealing with what you're doing, and then, networking with other educators that are in the same thing that you just saw in the conference.
Right.
Sitting down, having a coffee and talking and getting to know them, building maybe a chat hashtag on your own,
right?
That kind of thing.
Yes.
The other thing is, don't do anything unless you're going to bring it back and you're going to improve your teaching and then show how it's going to improve the students' learning.
Yeah.
If you're just going to learn to draw posters, why?
Yeah. How are you going to turn whatever you're doing into something that you're going to do with your students in your classroom? So if it is, like you said, if it is making posters, then what are you going to do with it?
Come back and make posters.
Right.
And, there's the kicker.
To what end?
Right. And going into conference season, going into any conference, any time of the season, especially summer, you're going to have to engage yourself pretty heavily because you're going to have to prep yourself up to it, especially if it's not until the end of June.
Right.
And you've been out of school for 2 weeks. So your family hit the Disney vacation or Six Flags or whatever a week before you leave.
Yeah.
So you're not really in that zone anymore. You've left the classroom. You're not in the zone. So you need to prep yourself to get ready for that conference. And then you've got to keep yourself engaged after it. And that's a really big deal. I tell you what we'll do is we'll drop out to a quick commercial and we'll come back and we'll discuss maybe that engagement when you get back from that conference.
Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to EduTechGuys. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to EduTechGuys.com. Don't just listen to us. Bring us into your district today for cool, exciting, professional development. We'll teach you and your students how to take podcasting to the next level and use it to reach your classroom and to reach the world. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTechGuys or head over to EduTechGuys.com. Scroll down on the page and fill out the form and we'll be in touch. Bring EduTechGuys to your school.
Great conversation I think we're having today, talking about your summer, the good, the bad, and the ugly of summer EdTech. And
Exactly.
we were just discussing about conferences and why you go and what you need to do and what we would suggest you do. We're not the be-all, end-all. We're not definitely pros at it, but we have been to a lot of them.
Yeah.
And we just want to help you out. But, the interesting thing about those summer conferences, any conferences, what are you bringing back?
Yep.
And how are you going to engage the students and engage your teachers? If you're of that administrative level, that you've got to get your teachers engaged. Well, and this is a great time to look at it. It's summertime. You just had a group of outgoing students that, trust me, you need to keep them engaged. They're going to be somebody else's students down the road, even if they're graduating. It's good to try to engage your students over the summer, and you've got a new group of kids that are about to come in.
Right.
So you have the opportunity to kind of post-plan, post-work it out, and pre-work it out. So you can, you might be able to do that in one fell swoop in one, say, Google Classroom.
Yeah.
So, that's a great way. You're serving two groups. So why not, what do you do to keep them in the game? So why not create a Google Classroom for over the summer? We'll talk about this here in just a bit in the Google tip recap, but now Google Classroom is open for anybody. So you can use a personal Google account. You can do anything you want to. So the kids can actually join anything. It doesn't have to be tied through the school if you don't want it to.
That's cool.
But, if you create a Google Classroom, then there's a ton of stuff you can do to keep your students engaged over the summer. We've made a little list. We'll kind of go through them. You want to start off?
Yeah, you can use Remind 101 if you're a user of that, and send out notifications to students about whatever, something that is related to a topic that you covered in the previous school year, or as Jeff was talking about, for your incoming students, if you happen to already know who they are, then and you get them set up on Remind 101, then you could be posting things out to that about some of the things they will be doing, or things for them to think about as they come into the class.
Yeah, with Reminder 101 and say other social media, Twitter, maybe you have a Facebook page for your class or, your department or something like that. Just for Reminder 101, just do current events that maybe tie into what you're doing just maybe once a week. Hey, did you see this article? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Or don't forget, when school starts in August, you should have read A Tale of Two Cities or whatever needs to go down.
Exactly.
Great way to use it. And that takes us to a summer reading list. There's nothing wrong with a summer reading list.
No.
And in this day and age, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Red Badge of Courage and A Tale of Two Cities. It could be read this blog or read this website or just follow Google's education blog or, why don't you take a look at this? That's where Remind 101 and the social media really come in handy to remind these kids that, make a graphic, use canva.com or use Adobe Spark, make a graphic, say, hey, don't forget to read this blog and post it on Instagram, post it on the Snapgram or the InstaChat, whatever you have out there.
That is very cool.
But, one of our favorites that I'll let David take, this is one of our favorites is...
Well, and one of the things you could do is you could create super small weekly podcasts with various challenges if you want to incorporate the challenge part of that. And so, again, these are super small podcasts. So something that it could literally be just you coming on for 2 minutes with your, just recording a thing and saying, hey, do, whatever the challenge might be. Yeah. I challenge you to find,
and think about it. This is any, think about the grade levels you're dealing with, but it's any basic challenge. Let's do. Hey, create a 5-word poem using words you find on street signs or on your trips during vacation. That would be. Take pictures of them and put them together. And make it that way. The cool part there is that you're challenging them through a podcast. They're gonna listen. Play them some music, do whatever you got to do to get them on the podcast. Ask them to, maybe one challenge is, hey, I'm going to open this up on Google Classroom, submit your best 15 or 20 or 30 second reading of this or that. Are you doing this music? Are you rapping about this? And then you get to choose the top 3 and you play them on the next podcast. So the kids would love that kind of stuff. And one of the really cool things about that is, let's talk about badges. Everybody loves badges. So make some summer badges. Go to the sites where you can make your badges and make some cool marshmallow s'more, summer campfire, diving board, something badges out there to keep the students engaged throughout the summer. Yeah. I think that would be a really, really fun one.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And it would let your students, and again, of course, it varies with, grade levels and subject matters and all that, but still you could create incentives for those students who really, really love that whole gamification thing to earn badges throughout the summer. And then,
hey, the best part is cash them in for those students coming into your class that, you get so many badges, you start the class with 5 extra bonus points or 10 extra bonus points or this much time doing this activity on the 3D printer or, reading out loud in class or whatever. David's right. Incentives would be perfect and use badges so that during the summer, the parents are also seeing something going on and the kids are posting it. Other students see it. That's a really big one.
Yeah.
One that I think would be great, and we're going to talk about a little later in the Google Tip of the Week recap, is Google Expeditions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, heck, a lot of folks don't take big vacations. And they're home for the summer.
Sure.
They don't have to be. Not with Google VR, not with Google Expeditions. So you can start setting up weekly, even daily VR expeditions. We're going to give you some information here at the end that's going to give you more than enough expeditions to do one a day so that your kids can actually have some really fun and do that kind of stuff. And now that gets you into a really interesting thing. So, in the old days, it was the first thing you did when you got back to school was, write that essay on what you did this summer.
Yes.
Well, this really takes that one out, knocks it out of the park. I mean, what did you do this summer? Well, I visited the Taj Mahal and then I went to Paris and jumped off the Eiffel Tower and viewed it all the way down. And, I parachuted off the face of the Washington Monument. And, pretty interesting stuff that could be done there for writing lessons.
Well, and one of the things, and I've mentioned this before, but there's a Google group, a Google Plus group that's called connected classrooms, and forgive me if that's not exactly the way that's worded. We'll shoot that out to you. But one of the things that is posted there frequently as a reminder is there's an African safari that runs several days a week, twice a day. And that's really what it is. It's done live, and they actually have two field guides, for lack of a better description, who are in Jeeps, and they have cameras, and they drive around and they look for wildlife, and they talk about the different plants and trees. And in fact, not long ago, I had watched one, and there's a guy and a girl, and I forgive me, I don't remember their names. But the woman was watching. I think she was watching some kind of a cat-like creature, and I mean, it wasn't like a tiger. It was something I wasn't familiar with.
A lemur,
something I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry, lemur's
but anyway,
not a cat.
it was kind of off in the distance, and then the guy he actually found a pride of lions. And so, and it's all, live, and it's all there. So,
wow.
When lions start coming or the elephants start coming, they have to move. They got to, move their vehicles, and it gets a little crazy, but it's all done live, and it's very, very cool. Now, the other part of that is, if you're a teacher and you actually work with them, if you schedule the time ahead of time, they will actually ask your students questions. They will take questions from the students, and they shout out your school. So they'll be like, "Hey, Hope Public Schools, we appreciate you tuning in, and
wow.
thanks for these questions."
That's really cool.
It's awesome.
Well, and part of that whole Google VR thing is finding a viewer.
Yes.
So, you can help your kids get that. All you have to do there is go to vr.google.com/cardboard, and they'll actually tell you how to find a viewer, how to get a viewer, how to get one of their cardboards. A lot of places give them away for free at this point, and they'll mail them to you. But you can actually build your own once you get the parts for next to nothing. So there it is. You got to have a device, which at least one smartphone in the family that the students could use over the summer. But I mean, that does make it a little more logistically difficult, but it shouldn't be too bad.
No, and actually a lot of the connected classroom stuff, like even that Safari thing, you didn't even need a VR viewer for that. It's not 3D or anything. It's just you just go. I mean, it's a I don't know a 2D television like type thing.
That's cool,
but it's live. It's very, very cool.
So anyway, we highly recommend Google Expeditions, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them here in just a little bit when we get to there's a little surprise down the road.
There you go. And then a couple other things you can do to keep yourself engaged and possibly get your students engaged. Things like Twitter chats. Find various topics and join in with the various Twitter chats and that I would say that's probably more for you as an instructor, as an educator, than the students. Although I'm sure they have Twitter chats that are aimed around students too. Yeah. But that's one of the ways. We love participating in various ed chats, and every state has their own ed chat or multiple ed chats that you can find on Twitter. There are also other topics that I know there's a SPED Talk, and it's all about special ed, and that's all they do. And so every week they have 5 or 6 questions that they put out, and everybody has a discussion about those particular topics in that specific area.
Yeah, encourage your educators and your teachers and your friends to find one this summer, and maybe just one. It's only going to be weekly, but it's going to give you the opportunity to really reach out and network with other educators around the world, around the country.
Yeah.
Other thing you can do, and this is both for students and teachers, is you can Skype, you can Zoom, you can Google Hangout, you can do pretty much any of that for summer discussions. That can be departmental with your colleagues. That can be much like a Twitter chat. You could invite folks from other areas around the country and the world. You could actually invite your students in once a week, once every 2 weeks, and have just a get together right there. Cup of Joe, and everybody grab a Coke and come to Miss Smith's classroom. We're going to be online on Google Hangouts. Yeah. Just to catch up, just to keep those students engaged with you and engaged in learning.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Just to make them excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so there it is. There's our idea for some summer ed tech. We'll do some more probably. We'll be here all summer, I'll be right here. So
I'll be right here all summer long.
Remember to tip your waitress. We'll be here all summer.
That's right. Well, and since this is getting to the end of the school year, we all know that school's out for the summer. So how about a little Alice Cooper? School's out. All right, Alice Cooper and School's Out for the Summer here on EduTechGuys Radio.
Good stuff.
That's awesome. Hey, speaking of school being out, and I'm just going to throw this out here, okay? I have these random thoughts that pop in my head. So I was listening to that, and that made me think of Pink Floyd, The Wall. We don't need no education. Okay, I always thought, when I was younger, okay, I'm smarter now. I have learned the error of my ways. But when I was younger, I always thought that the one lyric in there was "No Dukes of Hazzard in the classroom," and I was like, "Is that why they don't need no education?" Because the Dukes of Hazzard, they weren't all that, they were redneck, so and all the stereotypical stuff that goes with that. So I used to think that's kind of part of what the song was about. I couldn't figure out why this English band was singing about the Dukes of Hazzard.
So, want to catch us this summer live? Want to see the EduTech guys in all their glory? The first place you can find us is at the Innovation Institute. That's June 7th through 8th in Springdale, Arkansas.
Oh, that's right. And then the next week, we will be at the Hot Springs Technology Institute in beautiful downtown Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's June 12th through the 15th.
Hey, I will be at ISTE this year, June the 24th through the 29th.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'll be there a long time.
And then I've got confirmation. We will be at AESA in December, and that's in San Antonio. And then we are also working with the folks at FETSI.
We'll be back in FETSI next January.
We'll be back in Orlando.
Those are the ones that are pre-booked right now. So this summer, though, you want to see us, there's some places you can find us. If you're coming to ISTE, definitely find me. I'll have my recorder on me. I'd like to interview you, let you tell your story and tell us about your EdTech journey and your journey through the great world of education.
Exactly. And we're hoping to be at Podstock in Wichita, Kansas.
That's in July. Yeah, 12th through the 14th. We'll see about that one.
Yep. Still working on that.
But you know what time it is?
It's time for... I don't know why I started singing that part.
That's interesting.
You know what? It's the Google Tip of the Week. Sorry, man. I just can't. The Google Tip of the Week.
Hey, this is a recap for summer Google Tip of the Week. First off, remember Google Classroom is now for everyone. So anyone with a Google account can create a Google Classroom. You can use that for anything from church meetings to club organization meetings. You can build yourself classrooms until the cows come home. In fact, that's actually in the EULA.
That's in the EULA.
The end user agreement says something about cows coming home. No, but seriously, you want to have some fun. Teach your kids to use their Google addresses to build their own classroom. So when they're playing this summer and they're playing school, they can play school with Google Classroom.
Hey,
get them EdTech ready, baby.
That's right. You're modernizing playing school. I remember when I just had, a ruler and a pointy stick.
Yeah. So David's having a good day. It's a good day for David today.
It's a good day. All right.
So Google Expeditions, there's the other one. This is a recap for summer. This is a great time to, it's like summer reading. It's time to find some good stuff. Well, Google Expeditions is the way to go. 2 great links here. We've added a link for today just for you special folks. And the first one is there's the good doc had found this list for us some time ago. 300 items with lessons from Google Expeditions in a spreadsheet, in a Google Sheet that's out there shared. We'll drop the link out again. It'll also be in the show notes, so you can find it there, but it'll definitely drop a link out. And then one of our new ones, which is really, really hot, is you can now search Google Expeditions, and I hope I get this name right, using Aquila Education, Aquila Education. You can search Google Expeditions by grade, subject, or location. They're offering that out right now. You can actually get a subscription to it, but they do offer some great stuff right off the bat. When you go to their website, they will show you on a world map how many they have by location.
That is really, really cool.
So it's a really neat place. They have a store. They're offering all kinds of great stuff. But as you go down, you'll notice that they'll have like an expedition name. They'll tell you the location. They'll give you the science titles, descriptions, the grades, and the subjects covered. So if you want to start using Google Expeditions in your classroom next year, right now is the time to start prepping up for that. Take them. Use Aquila and use the 300 spreadsheets to the links on the spreadsheet to start buffering up your lessons today.
That is awesome.
I think it's pretty cool. That one's really nice, and there's a lot to the website, about the subscription, and they have a store there. They have a lot of VR stuff you can buy, so they're supplying VR kits and classroom kits and the whole thing also from there. So. It's pretty much, here's the stuff we sell, but now we're going to give you all these expeditions for free.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, been a pretty good show, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. You have to forgive me. I got puzzled. When you're looking at the world map, at the grand view, Australia is labeled as Oceania, but when you zoom in, it's Australia.
Oh,
sorry, that's confusing my brain. I'm having a weird day.
Are you having a weird day?
Should we let everybody go? Let's let them go.
I don't know. We should keep them hostage for a little while longer. Hey, listen, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time on the EduTech Guys.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed under the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.